this weekend we're at Hebécrévon Course de Côte, which is in Normandy. For me, this is my first round of the championship. So although there's been 3 rounds already, I'm actually joining on the 4th round, which means some of the drivers will already have had a bit of a head start in terms of getting on the pace. But nonetheless, it's a good race to start on. It's quite a short course at just over 2 kilometres. We're here on the start line. As you can see, it's quite a narrow beginning to the course. The whole section, initially you're fenced in by the railings, so it's quite technical. You don't have any room to run wide. One of the things with circuit racing and hill climbing, when you compare the two of them, hill climbing you don't have any time to make up from a bad start. You've got to be absolutely on it from the very moment you set off. So it's important that you do things like line yourself up exactly in the right place, get a good line into the first corner, and you can see here there's already some rubber from last year, but over the weekend this rubber will build up. Drivers will tend to position themselves probably to the left of the track here to get a straight line into the first corner, and you'll find that people will you'll get 2 quite concentrated black lines which people will want to put their car on because it will just get the tyres really keyed into the tarmac. Hebécrévon has 2 sections really. You have the first section through the railings, which brings you to the hairpin right here. This then leads on to a much more open section where you've got a much steeper gradient. You're going uphill, it's important to carry a lot of speed. If you can see behind me, there's actually a little kind of kink, and ideally you want to carry speed through that and leave it until the last moment, but obviously that requires quite a bit of confidence and bravery. So it's something that I'm hoping to build up to over the weekend. So we're here at the middle of the track, and one of the difficult parts here is to focus on getting the perfect line. Because of the gradient, it's easy to scrub off 1/10 of a second, half a second, just by getting the wrong entry and exit through a corner. So it's critical really that you get the perfect line, get the turning points. Sometimes you might only need to lift off a little bit rather than use the brake. The corner that precedes this is a very long open corner, so it's quite difficult to pick the right line through it. It means that if you get it right, you can carry every bit of speed through this last corner onto the final straight. And it's here with something like on a hill climb, it's quite a typical area where you might lose or gain a position in your class because you've really got to get right into the apex, get right over as you come around here. For me, it's the second time I've competed here. It's nice coming into this season that I've actually, last year every single hill for me was a brand new hill, a brand new challenge. And that was quite difficult because I didn't have any experience to draw on. Coming here this year, it's nice. I've got pace notes, I've got some onboard video, and I've already driven this hill 8 or 9 times. So I feel a bit more confident. There's not quite so much to learn. On top of that, it's a shorter hill. It's just over 2 kilometres. So I think looking at how I feel at the moment, I think it's could be a good event for me. I hope so. come here all alone, it's a big effort, and it always feels like a bit of a risk, but it's a big adventure every time I come to France. And to have a good result, it makes it feel worth it, really. You feel like you're out on a limb a bit, being here, you know, the only English person almost. But it's been fantastic. Really, really good weekend. I had a great result here last year, and again, I've managed to repeat it. So we've had good weather, a lot of test runs, a lot of practices, so I think it was 8 runs in total. And after having a long time out of the car, it's always nice to have a lot of runs, get some seat time behind the wheel. I mean, the competition in the class is very high standard of driving. So every time I'm trying to go a bit quicker, and I think, I try harder here, try harder there. And looking at the times of the other drivers, every time it's a case of trying to find more speed. So it's constant improvement, constantly trying to find which corners I'm going slower on, and it's not easy, but I've worked hard this weekend, and I think it's paid off. Pommeraye. It's my second race in the championship this season, and it's a good track here. They've just resurfaced the tarmac, so it's going to be good grip this weekend, I hope. We've got some rain forecast, possibly some storms, so the conditions could be quite tricky. It's a very fast hill, again like HEBECREVON, but a little bit longer this time round. These are very soft tyres, so they're specific to hill climb. They have to heat up straight away. And when we're running them, especially in very hot conditions, what happens is the tyre picks up a lot of rubber from the road, it goes through a heat cycle, and it degrades the tyre. You can see here, this isn't too bad, but you can see that it changes the quality of the rubber on the surface of the tyre. For a couple of runs this is okay, but over time you're losing grip with this rubber. So what we have to do is we have to clean the tyre up and get down to the nice sticky rubber underneath. So there's a number of ways we can do that, but the easiest way for me is to put it in this machine which rotates the tyre, and then we hold a surfform blade, which is like a big cheese grater, on the tyre as it goes around, and you're just peeling off the bad rubber. You don't want to take off too much, but ultimately you just want to get down to the grip underneath. So really I'm just going to be doing this right now. These are my practice tyres. I'm going to wrap these up once they're finished, put them back in the van, they're ready for the next race. Right now we're down at the start line. We've got the line just out of sight. Over that brow is a very, very tight chicane that goes through almost like a little bus stop, so it's possibly first gear, second gear. As you approach it, it's very difficult to see because of the angle of the straw bales. We have to take a very late turn in and try and cut in, keep the speed through, and then joining what's currently quite a busy main road up through into a junction. It's quite difficult to see the line of sight because of the width of the road, the way it cambers, and the whole shape of everything. So it's quite difficult start to the course. This is the main spectator area, so it's a good spot for watching the cars come through one of the fastest bits. Just behind me there's a series of corners that, although they can be taken flat, they come up very quickly. and if you get off the line slightly, it's very easy to suddenly find yourself heading on the wrong side of the track. So it's crucial that you get your turning points absolutely spot on and get tight over to each side of the rail, get right into the apex and carry that speed all the way up through to the finish line. The race today's been really, really difficult. The weather's been a massive challenge. It's rained a lot, but we've also had some big dry spells. At times the sun's come out and the track's almost dried out completely, but then moments later, more showers. Making a choice about the tyres has been a nightmare, really. The two fastest times in class were only 200ths apart, and one person on slicks, one person on wets. Bottom of the course completely soaking, top of the course more or less dry. When the conditions are like this, it's just really, really difficult to know what's the best thing to do. And I'd like to think I've made I'd made the best choices I could have done under the circumstances. I came fourth in the end. I was maybe a bit disappointed after yesterday, being fairly quick in practice, but at the same time, it's a really tricky course here. It's so fast. When you're going at that kind of speed in the wet, the car starts sliding. You just want to take it a bit easy, and so no, and I think under the circumstances it's been a good weekend. Crucially, I've got St.Gouëno next weekend. I'm staying in France, so the last thing I wanted to do was damage the car because there's no opportunity to fix it. So it's a good result. Car's in one piece, fourth place. It's good. So for me, St.Gouëno is a really special place. Not only is it one of the biggest attractions of the French Hill Climb Championship, it's the first French hill climb that I ever did. I actually heard about it 10 years ago. The first year I started competing in England, some friends had said, there's this race in France and it's, it's very accommodating for English people to come in and compete, and you can come in your English car, it's not a problem. And so I came here in 2014, and it was a lifelong ambition to come and compete in France. And it really, for me, it was like the kind of birthplace of my love for French hill climbing. On top of that, it's a huge event in the French calendar. They have, I think, over 15,000 people here every weekend. There's a music festival. There's huge marquees laid on with food and meals for everyone. So the atmosphere here is it's really special. And for me, I look forward to coming every year. Last year was difficult because I had a crash in practice. So it's kind of a strange place where I had 2014, I came first in my class and broke the record. I couldn't wait to come back, and then last year it was the complete opposite. I had really, really sad experience with the car missing two of the wheels. So this year it's important to me to have a good result, but it's it's just great to be here and to have the weather that we've got again this weekend. The atmosphere is always fantastic, especially as you come into Cheval, where you see all the spectators. You're focused on the road, but at the same time it's just one of my favourite events, I think. And I'm just happy to be back and sat in the sunshine. I'm really happy with the result this weekend. I mean, I thought for a while on Saturday in practice, I thought, you know, this might be the first win of the season, and it was looking pretty good. Sarah's a very quick driver, and I knew it was never going to be easy trying to keep up with her. I tried my hardest, and I think despite last year and, you know, having a few worries about coming into this race, I tried really hard, and Sarah led from first practice this morning. Both of us were a little bit slower at lunchtime, the second run of the afternoon, and so really it came down to the final run. It was pretty tense, and I was trying pretty hard again. Unfortunately, I couldn't improve on this morning's time. Sarah went a bit quicker, and you know, she took the win, but it was a good second place, and I'm really happy with the result. Going forward for the next few races, the course starts to get a lot longer now. So this weekend it was 3.2 kilometres. Beaujolais, I think, is just over 4. Then we're more into like 5 kilometres. Over a longer course, you've got a bit more opportunity to make time up. So also they get a bit quicker as well. Some very fast, flat corners. So we're here at Beaujolais Village this weekend. This is the 4th round of the French Hill Climb Championship for me, and it's really like right now the championship enters a different phase. I've had the first 3 rounds up in Brittany, and they're much shorter races. They're not so steep. When I get to this part of the country, it's almost like everything gears up and gets a lot harder. The terrain is more mountainous and more spectacular. The hills are longer, the temperature gets hotter, and generally it just makes everything more intense. You know, it's when, for me, because the course is now getting faster as well, it's like I really have to up my game. The beginning bit is like the warm-up, and now we're into the kind of main course where it gets really, really challenging, really, is probably the best word I can think of to use. But it's fantastic here. You know, it's just, to drive the course is really something else. It's so quick, and when you're driving for 2 minutes behind the wheel, probably doesn't sound like a lot to someone, but from a hill climbing perspective, that's a long time. And you have to be so focused. You have to know every corner that's coming, your gear change, bumps in the road, everything that you've got to avoid and do right. So it's really exciting. So straight away I feel a lot more confident this year that I can start nearer the pace, because it's I think 9 of us in the class, and now as we get into the middle of the championship the classes tend to get bigger. I've already found that after first practice I've gone quicker than I went last year, and a lot of that I think is just down to familiarity with the course. It's really, really quick here, especially with the new gearing in the car. The car's absolutely spot on with the gearing for this track. Just touching the top of 6th gear as I come down the main straight. Get out of the car, you're a bit shaky because you know, your 6th gear, you maybe hit a bump and the car bounces across the track, and when you're hill climbing you've got to deal with things like that. On a circuit you perhaps don't have, you know, bumps and ridges in the track so much, but with a hill climb you're always looking for things that can upset the car and throw you off balance, so it really focuses your mind. The taking off at the start lane here, it's difficult because there's not a lot of grip at the moment, so trying to get the balance right. Into the first corner there's a lot of bumps, you can see the change in tarmac. I'm really struggling here at the moment. This corner's so tight, and the turning circle in a Formula Renault is very, very, well, it's very difficult to get around it, as you see. Then it's flat, 3rd and 4th gear into this corner, and then down into 2nd gear for this corner. Can carry quite a lot of speed around here because it's quite open on the exit. And then we're flat all the way down here. Just feathering a little bit in this corner, taking in 5th gear, but I'll be flat tomorrow. down into a chicane. You want to keep close to the house and tuck in here. Again, this is near enough flat, just feathering a bit, down into second gear, tight turn in here, and then into third and carry the speed as much as you can onto this straight. This is the quickest part of the corner, and just about touching top revs in sixth gear, so that's around 210 kilometers an hour. Really want to hang on to the wheel here. I can feel my helmet lifting up out of the cockpit on my head. And then you're down the box into second gear, round this quite open hairpin, trying to get a good fast run up the hill here, carry the speed all the way up to this corner. Down to third. This corner's really difficult because it's quite tight. It's very easy to turn in too early and nearly go into the rails. Then you're flat, fifth gear, turn in here through this very, very fast chicane. There's a bump on the apex which fires you into towards the ditch. And then carry as much speed as you can up to the final corner. You've got a fast, flat right, and then you're up. Finish line is actually on a right-hander, so trying to just carry the speed and get around it as quickly as you can, and that's a run up Beaujolais village. I really love this race. It's a fantastic course, amazing atmosphere. I mean, after the first three races, this is like the first thing that really hits you is the speed here. To drive it, you have to go outside of your comfort zone to really be up there at the top of the class. And when you're used to smaller courses, it's a big effort. You've got to really kind of find that bit in you and just get in the car and absolutely go for it. It's, leaving it late on the brakes and keeping your foot down as hard as you can. I love it here. It's been an amazing weekend, and the atmosphere is fantastic. We've pretty much got away with it weather-wise. We had a few drops of rain, a few showers this morning, but I've really driven as hard as I dared today, and I'm happy with the result. It's been good. We've had a good battle between. There's been 8 of us in the class, and I think everybody's just driven at the top of their ability. So we've had a really good battle, and it's been close in the end. And I'm happy with what's happened. Happy with the result. It's really nice getting into a rhythm now because the races are every 2 weeks. After St.Gouëno, I had to push myself a bit to drive harder and to get a good result, and ultimately just finish on a time that I was happy with. So coming here to a really fast course where it's important with Hebécrévon coming. Hebécrévon's the next race. I think it's something like 5 kilometers, and it's really fast. You just need to keep that momentum going at each race, and rather than start and be a bit off the pace, you just need to be on it from the moment you're turning your first wheel in practice. So it's good to just finally find my feet and feel like the car's doing everything I want it to do. It's been reliable. I'm really lucky that I've had this run the car. I think it's thanks to him really that I've had such a good time. So possibly might be helping me at Hebécrévon. We'll have to see, but fingers crossed, because it's a long way to come on your own, and when you've got somebody with you and taking care of the car, it really helps you focus on your driving, and that's what we're here for.